Hello everybody, my name is Caden. In this video I am going to be making a sheath for this fairbairn-sykes dagger that I made in the last video. This is the style of sheath that I'm going to be making. It's a pack sheath, so it doesn't have any way to attach to a belt, but if you need to put this in a bag, it's really good for that. Yeah, first step is to grab some leather out and start cutting out the shapes. So we have our two sides cut out, grooved, and the edges rounded over. We have our welt cut oversized so that we can trim it down to the size of the sheath. And we have our retention strap cut out. The reason there aren't holes in it yet is because I want to make sure that the fit is really good. Sometimes when I grind the fairbairn-sykes daggers, the guards are slightly different widths at the end, or where the retention strap goes over, which means that if I put the holes in the same place every time, I can't guarantee that the fit is going to be exactly right. So I punch the holes in this and finish up the retention strap once the sheath is done, once I know exactly how much tension I need to put on this. So the next step for all of these pieces is to get some black leather dye out and start dyeing the pieces. So the pieces are all dyed, and I've let them dry for a little bit just because I don't want to be handling them too much when they're wet, because you can dent them really easily. So now that they're dry, I'm going to screw in the hardware, so those little bits of brass, and then we're actually just going to go straight into gluing it up. Before I do glue it up though, I have to rough up one side of the welt, because that's the skin side and it doesn't stick super well to just a super smooth surface. So I'm going to take my knife, just rough up that side, and then we'll get this glued. So the sheath is all dry. Next step is to trim all the edges with a knife, and then we'll head to the grinder and grind everything smooth. So the edges of the sheath are all nice and smooth, and at the end there you just saw me kind of round all the corners. One thing that can happen while you're grinding the edges of the sheath is you can kind of end up grinding some of that roundness off, so I've just re-rounded the corners. And the next step is to dye all the edges, just make sure those are all dyed nicely. And then we're going to be punching some holes for the stitching, and not too many more steps to go, just punching the holes, stitching it, and then we'll sort out the retention strap and how that connects to the sheath. So the edges are all dyed, and I'm going to start punching the holes now, and this is something that I haven't seen many other people doing, but I use these. So they're like little pliers that have teeth on them. I find that for me and the type of sheaths that I make, this works pretty much all of the time. If I have a particular sheath I need to make that doesn't work with this, I use just the little stitching fork things. But for now, just going to go along, punch all the holes with this, and we'll start stitching after that. So, just finished the stitching on the sheath, and I want to make the stitches kind of pop a little bit more, because they're kind of recessed quite a bit, and the actual thread is still quite round. So what I do is I go over it with this. This is like a stitching wheel. It has a proper name, I'm sure, but I'm just calling it the stitching wheel. And it flattens out each of the stitches, which makes the stitching really pop, makes all the color look really nice and even, and it just kind of cleans up the look of the stitching quite a bit. So I'm going to go over it with that, and then we're going to take our retention strap and we're going to put holes in it, and I'll show you how I kind of determine where the holes go once we've got to that step. So you will have seen in that last clip that I punched the first hole, then I put it onto the sheath with the dagger inside of it, pulled the retention strap over, and then kind of just on the other side rubbed the little post that we've got in the sheath, and then I punched the hole about 1 millimeter further back than that, just so that you have some tension going over the sheath. And that is the sheath done. Now this dagger blade is protected and nothing else is going to get hurt from it. And yeah, let me know if you have any feedback for the videos. I'm kind of reintroducing myself to video making, so if you have any tips or you want to suggest something I should make in the future, let me know. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.